This is a nice park. Ano to? Waterloo Park. Papunta ako dun sa cemetery. Okay to. Nature. Maraming park dito na maganda sa London. Tahimik. So mag-relax. Naku. Sa mga park na ganito, kung madaming ganito sa Pilipinas, tahimik, yung talagang magre-relax ka lang. Medyo positive yung vibes nating mga Pilipino. Diba? Something to chill para whenever you're stressed. Whenever you're thinking of a lot of things, work, problema sa bahay, financial, problema kung saan, relax ka lang sa park. Welcome to Highgate Cemetery. This is a Victorian style cemetery. And interesting kasi the reason why I chose to visit this cemetery kasi marami nakakita magandang tour. Magaling yung mga tour guides nila. And yung mga nakalibing dito, medyo prominent din. And interesting kasi it's talaga tinaman yung entrance niya. It's an old building. Victorian style pa. And it's an interesting tour siya. It's an interesting topic. And ako mahilig talaga akong magtitingin sa mga sementeryo kasi I love the architecture. At saka pag may nakita ko sa mga puntod na pinanganak ng 1800s, hindi ko lang ba't ako na-amaze. Parang natutuwa ako na namatay siya 1878. So ngayon madami ng tao. And yung mga tao here are also tourists. Some other places. Yan. Buti maaraw. Usually kasi medyo mainit. Medyo maulan. It's rainy sometimes. But for now we're blessed because the sun is up. Ang tour actually will be here sa west side. And then mamaya after the tour, I'll go to the east side to look around, check the surroundings. Let's see what else is in store. Yan, sa mga musileo. Yeah, one of the mausoleums here. Goldhammer. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's the surname, Goldhammer. To the glory of God. So yung mga war heroes ng UK, ng England, ng Great Britain, ito yung kanyang commemorative statue or puntod. So nakasulat yung mga names ng mga tao na lumaban sa war, mga sundalo. From the First World War at saka ng Second World War.
Okay, well, welcome to Highgate Cemetery. Excuse me. It was one of 7 cemeteries established between 1830 and 1840. 37 acres in all. So I suppose roughly the size of 25, 30 football pitches, if that means more to you than the acres. And in that 37 acres, there are upwards of 53,000 graves containing upwards of 175,000 individuals. And I say upwards, or use the word upwards, because it's still an active cemetery. We have funerals here on a fairly regular basis, but nothing like the time of the Victorian. So I've got a fox behind me.
Yeah.
So I've got a fox behind me.
Yeah.
So I've got a fox behind me.
Yeah.
The cross is often known as the Calvary cross. So it may be at least which the cross of crucifixion at Calvary was placed. As I say, there could be very many others. On the front here, on these posts, you see upturned horseshoes. Well, to us, an upturned horseshoe is luck having run out. But just look at the way the horses would have been running. They'd have been running towards the cross. Mm-hmm. So just maybe this is a statement of their religious beliefs.
So interesting facts. During the time of Victorian daw, kaya may tatlong ganon. It's like the Calvary. So it's in trees. So it's parang the Holy Trinity. So parang, I forgot the name.
In front of me, there's an angel. She has a wreath. The wreath of victory, of life over death. Just here we have a guy called Edward Moore, an architect. Well, there are many structures around the UK, London particularly, and including Buckingham Palace, where he got involved initially in the cladding on the outside of the building, considered too dull and dark, pulled down to replace in 1902, 1904. He also did make an extension to the palace on behalf of Queen Victoria, which apparently is still there.
There's a level.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering.
Just across the back there, you see a very tall monument. It's the shape of a church steeple. And it is the monument to the Mears family. The Mears family ran the Whitechapel Bell Foundry in East London for many years, along with many others. And until it closed about 6 years ago,
that was
that
really
sort of
sad.
order. It was the longest continuing manufactory in the country, having originally been established in the late 1400s. And the grave there, of course, is underground. Just difficult to see, but there are steps going down underneath into a vault beneath that massive structure. Slightly unusual one, just at my side here. Again, it's probably represents the top of a church steeple, but the important element is underneath, where you can see in there is an empty chair. Now, an empty chair in a cemetery is always a symbol of somebody having died. They no longer need the chair to sit in. They've gone elsewhere, hopefully to heaven in their case. And the family have emphasised the fact that she's not there by placing a cloth over the right-hand arm. The Victorians believed that if you show that you have no earthly goods with you, when you go to your grave, as with the shroud over the right arm, then you get to heaven quicker. Right, we're standing next to what is arguably the largest private grave or vault in the cemetery. What I should have said about Maria Emden down there is that there is no earth in those graves, as there is no earth in here. This is an open vault underneath. And you get into it by going through doors on the house at the end, down underneath, and you can walk down. I mean, it's big enough for a small dance. I've been down there on several occasions. And the main guy that is buried here is a chap called General Sir Loftus Otway. Doesn't mean a lot to you, didn't mean a lot to me until I researched him. And he was a cavalry officer, fought in the Peninsular Wars alongside the Duke of Wellington and Sir John Moore, and he died of natural causes, buried here with something like 10 or 11 members of his family. On the Litvinenko. He was a KGB agent and he worked with Putin for many years. Unfortunately, he upset Putin by trying to show the criminality of the regime, which he did to a certain extent. And he's buried here, having been poisoned by a couple of agents that Putin sent over. And one of them carried a material called polonium-210, which you might have heard of. It's one of the most toxic materials known to man. It's radioactive, and it's that which kills him. He dies a very, very painful death, poor chap. And he rests here. His wife and son live in London, and they come here quite regularly. As you can see, new flowers on his grave, and that happens quite regularly. And he is buried usually about 6 foot down. And he is encased in a glass fibre coffin.
So one interesting trivia. This is where Sasha Litvinenko was buried. Si Sasha Litvinenko. Sa mga critic ni Vladimir Putin. And apparently, unfortunately nga, pinoison siya allegedly ng mga agents kasi pinatahimik siya for criticizing the regime of Vladimir Putin. So medyo garapal yung pagkamatay sa kanya kasi parang pinoison siya using a very potent na last one na radiation. May radiation, as in talagang they call it alpha matter. Super dangerous pag pumasok sa katawan kasi parang it will cause a lot of pain sa katawan and will lead to death. Grabe.
Okay, we're standing in front of what is known as the Egyptian Avenue. When the cemetery was founded by a number of guys, one of whom is buried across in the jungle over there, and he died at 53, I think, in cholera. Stephen Geary. He and 2 others established the cemetery before 1839. And at that time, there was a great deal of interest in Egypt and its society and art, because we'd just finished fighting the French in deserts of North Africa. The Rosetta Stone had been brought back to London.
We'll go inside the Egyptian Avenue. So basically the architecture is like an Egyptian art. So there are obelisks here.
Okay, so we're standing in what is known as the Egyptian Avenue. Can you hear me at the back? Yeah. Standing in what is known as the Egyptian Avenue. Either side of us are 8 vaults, 16 in total, each one capable of carrying a number of coffins on shelves, which are placed around the walls, the back wall, and so on. And none of them are completely full. Originally, this had a domed roof. You can see the cobblestones running the length of the avenue, and there used to be a barrelled roof on top. The Victorians believed that it was too dark in here to place their loved ones, so the authority at the time took the lid off the roof, and people were being buried, but not to completely fill up the vaults. Now, of course, we've got overgrown, it's dark again. Each of the doors, you'll notice, has got the vent holes, top and bottom, and some little while ago, something like about 6 or 7 years ago, we had some experts come here and they discovered rare spiders in the vaults, that one to start with, and various others. And there's something like that, there was at the time, something like about 250 specimens of a spider with a leg span of about that. Very rare in London, apparently. Never quite sure how they got here, but nevertheless they are. Now we have a bat population, pipistrelle bats, and they go in and out, we believe they go in and out of the vent holes and make a meal of whatever inside. There are more than just spiders in there than that type.
So may mga 1886 pa na ilibing. So yung iba, there are others. Yeah. May address pa yung iba.
This is called the Circle of Lebanon. And it's because there used to be a massive tree of a cedar of Lebanon in the centre of this pot behind them. This effectively forms a pot because this path goes right round the circle. And I'll tell you a bit more about that when we get up the top. If you're interested in opera in any fashion, there's Carl Rosa. He was a German, came to this country and established the Carl Rosa Opera Company, which I am told, although I've not actually researched it myself, still exists in some form in London. Carl Rosa Opera Company. You may have noticed on the cast iron doors that there are upturned flaming torches.
Yeah.
Well, that's a symbol of death. It represents the death of the flesh, but the continued life of the soul. Because the flame continues to burn, it represents the soul continuing to live. If you turn a torch like that upside down in physics, then it would go out because you don't generally get enough oxygen to the root of the flame in order to keep it burning. But of course, because it is ethereal, then it continues to burn, representing the continued life, as I said, of the soul. Most of them, except for two, one behind me, are cast iron doors. This one is a wooden door, custom designed, and inside there are a number of coffins on shelves which go down the side walls, as in all of them, go down the side walls, across the back wall, and this wall behind me. In the day, these doors, not only this one, but others, will be left open, and the Victorians, in order to demonstrate their wealth and social status, would leave the door open, these doors open, and they'd place a coffin. Some of you might recognise the name down here on this particular grave, that bed. She was an author, and she wrote many novels, and one of which was The Well of Loneliness. And it was a semi-autobiographical novel about her life as a lesbian. And her first girlfriend was Mabel Veronica Batten, and she died unfortunately early on in their relationship. And Ratcliffe had another girlfriend, had to be her cousin, called Una Trowbridge, or Lady Una Trowbridge, and she had been was the wife of a British naval admiral.
We're inside the catacomb. So ito yung catacomb. Scary. It's malamig. It's colder here.
We come back a bit time, but we're out.
It's super dark there. You should go there. It's super dark.
Stop in here.
Nilak na tayo. So,
No. There'll be a sore thing. No, joking. We're standing in what is called the terrace catacombs. And usually catacombs are underground, but this one is half and half. From about here, it's under a bank that goes up to the church. The first reference to catacombs was made, as far as we know anyway, alongside the Appian Way in Rome, where the Romans used to crucify Christians. They didn't put them in the catacombs, but the catacombs were for the more wealthy. And as you can see here, there's something like, the vaults that we have. And these are the vaults, these arches. And each of these vaults has 15 of these slots, which are called loculi, which is Latin for really body support, or just for a show. And each one of those contains the remains of an individual. Now we'll go down a little bit further, but what I'll say is be very careful, because the floor is very uneven and it's quite easy to damage yourself. So I'll try and illuminate it as best I can. Stop them the way on there. So you couldn't see it that way. I tell you thank you so much. We'll get there first. It will right. Okay, so as I said, we've got these loculi. This is one here. Some of them are completely enclosed. Others would have had, as this one would have had, a window, and it was there to make sure that when the family came, or they could make sure, I should say, that the coffin had not been destroyed or damaged and the body removed. And you can see here that there's a great deal of decoration on it. As I said earlier, the Victorians are very keen to demonstrate wealth and social standing by decorating various things to do with the funeral, in this case the coffin. And that decoration goes right down the sides, across the top and at the far end. And you might already have realised that we are at the head end of the coffin, because the Victorians, when they came to visit, wanted to talk to the head and not the feet. You might make out there that there's a green oxide on that particular plate. But that's probably because it was copper plated at one time. The copper plating was put on there so that it would contain or be able to hold silver or gold, and there were lots of them that were silver or gold in this particular area. And this is a triple coffin. The body is placed into a plain wooden coffin, probably oak or elm, and that is placed into a lead coffin. Bailey asked me earlier, I think, about lead coffins. Yes. And the lead coffin would be sealed by plumbers. And they would come along and they would do a process called wiping the joint, which is effectively a welding process for lead. Such soft material, you just heated it and wiped it.
Kung sayang, hindi namin napasok yung loob ng crypt. I'm not sure if there are bones and skeletons din. So yung guide namin, medyo palabiro din siya. Anyway, sobrang malamig doon sa loob ng crypt. This is my first time to go inside the crypt. So madaming ano. So, interesting facts. Ganun pala yun. So mga Victorian, nakalagay sa 3 coffins.
During the Victorian period, the Victorians believed that if you had a cross on your grave, then it was too Catholic, considered to be Catholic. And the families looked for alternative grave markers, and they came up with things like the urn on the top there, which is solid, obviously, it's concrete, with the cloth on the top. The urn obviously follows the Greek-Roman tradition of putting cremated remains into an urn, which would obviously be hollow at that time. But these things, and you've got the cloth on the top, which really is another example of what I said earlier about demonstrating you have no earthly goods with you. And they place the cloth on top. Again, it's the shroud.
So naikot na pala namin. Ito yung Egyptian Avenue. So naikot na namin. Pababa kami. Doon. Pupuntahan namin yung grave ni George Michael. Isa sa mga sikat na nilibing dito. That's his grave. Their mothers. Sa kapatid niya bunso. So apparently George Michael died December 25, Christmas Day, 2016. And then yung sister niya died then 3 years after, same day, Christmas Day. Same day, ano. I don't know what's next, but we'll just, habol tayo. So, yun nga, yung kinakwento ko. So, maraming symbolism sa mga Victorian back in the day. Angels, yung urn, cross. So, some people don't want to be associated with sobrang Kristiyano or sobrang Katoliko ng kanyang religion. So, they replace yung cross with an urn with na parang merong may towel or may cloth on top of it. It kind of symbolizes naman that the person has no earthly baggings. Wala nang bitbit. So, iniiwan nila yung cloth, kumbaga, doon. I wonder kung meron Pinoy na nakalibing dito. For sure, meron. So, dami nila. So, yun na nga. Naniniwala sila dati na pag yung kagaya nito, yung urn na may cloth. Yan, no? Yung urn na may cloth, ibig sabihin niya, iniwan na ng tao yung kanya makamundong buhay. So, it's a sign of retirement.
They're buried things in common grave.
There's a fax. Merong fax.
Generally, but
There's a fax.
we know where they are and who they are. A combination of tours and database transcription, and it's now in London. Before the cemeteries opened, there was a crypt somewhere around about where the Bank Underground station is now, and the authorities couldn't understand why it was that so many people were being placed in this crypt when it's quite small. So they sent a team to investigate, and what they found was that the owner of the cemetery, or the crypt I should say, had knocked a hole in the wall of the crypt. On the other side was a river, and he was taking the bodies out of the coffin off as firewood and posting the bodies through the hole in the wall into the river on the other side. So they disappeared down the river, eventually ended up at the Thames. So they were taken down onto the Thames and dispersed in there.
So, pupunta ko naman yung grave site ni Karl Marx. Let's see. The problem is, where's it located? I think it's on the other side of the... Yeah, it's on the other side there. Ganda. So, ito yung itsura ng Highgate Cemetery. Let's go to the other side so we can roam around. I'll go to the other side, but may funeral happening right now. Yeah, so the reason why okay itong tour na to, they're making this tour, is to help them fund the operations ng sementeryo. Kasi yung yung maintenance and all, it will cost. Papasweldo sa tao. Hindi naman araw-araw may nadedets. Hindi naman araw-araw may ganap dito. CR, toilet. So ayun, it will help fund and unfortunately, ayun nga, fortunately hindi natuloy yung pagbebenta dito sa cemeteryong ito. Kasi meron daw dating gustong bumili na private individual na gustong tayuan ng kanyang private sanctuary itong lugar na to. So it will not only destroy... Oh, there's a fox. It's a fox. It will only destroy history and yung identity nitong Highgate Cemetery. Kita niyo, daming foxes. So nakakalimang foxes na ako nakikita. Okay, back to my story. Nagulo ako ng fox. Diba, kung tinuloy yung pagbenta dito several years ago, di sana ang daming nagulong souls, ang daming nagulong kaluluwa. Imagine this location, this area is important, not just for the living but also for the dead. So ito yung Karl Marx. So si Karl Marx dito nakalibing. So yun yung kay Karl Marx. I think that's it. I need to go back. And imagine before, nung hindi pa siya ganito mapuno. Preferred ng mga namatay na overlooking sa London. Kasi nasa taas tayo ng hill. Gusto nila overlooking London yung kanilang mga grave. Para daw masarap yung kanilang view. Anyway, to go up, I'm hungry. I'll go to Camden Market. Camden Market ako. Kakain muna. Okay, so that's it for the trip. I hope you enjoyed yung trip natin sa sementeryo. Well, as a tourist na buhay, hindi deads. Anyway, it's just a reminder. Yun nga, kaya going to cemeteries or looking at this is a reminder na kahit gaano tayo kayaman, kahirat, ka-immortal, kalakas, etc. Kahit tayo kabata, kahit gaano katanda, everything in this life will come to an end. And this is a reminder that we as people, tayo rin ang bibistahin ng mga nabubuhay. Pero sana matagal pa. Okay pa ako na 50 years siguro. Pero sana malakas. 50 years na malakas. Kaya ba yun? Okay, so if you like this video, please share, like and subscribe. And I hope to see your comments. I hope to see your reactions. I hope to see you guys subscribing to my channel. Okay. Ayun, that's it for now. Watch out for more videos. Subscribe. Let's do this. Come on. Bye-bye.